on TV3. And we also have a social media handle, TV3 Ghana. Go across there. Let's also get to hear you. You know that for many of the things we've been talking this morning, we started off by telling you that we have cash out, going with the short code *439#. And this is what you need to do. Choose option 2, increase the number of tickets you have, become one of those lucky winners. And talking about being lucky, you only get to be lucky if you increase the number of tickets you have as many times as you can. And it's been a lot of excitement throughout the period. We know that the Ghana Music Awards is also coming on, and so some of our favorite musicians also will be part. Just in case you want to enjoy the season as it comes, cash out *439# should be part of it, so that you get to also be part of it. So good morning to Chairman Godwin Tamaklo, who is the Group Chief Executive for the Red Group. Great guy as well. And I'm wishing you all the best. And I know that your wife, Alice, and the rest of the family, we're all part of this together. We'll wait until that day. And then Chairman Prosper, great man as well. Your daughter, Portia Lechu, is celebrating their birthday. And with the UPSA, that is University of Professional Studies, a happy birthday to you, Portia. Great lady as well, coming up, and a lot of insight. For all the things that we have to do, please join us on social media, Facebook, YouTube, and let's have some great conversation. Joining us after, well, going AWOL, absent without leave right here on the show, we have lawyer Apia Dankwa, Liverpoolian. Good morning. One of our great viewers, Zilis Dwayne, who lives in the UK, was accosting me this morning. I didn't congratulate him. He buys me my Chelsea jerseys all the time. They are on the racks in the UK. So, and he was asking me because I'm pained as a Chelsea fan. I didn't congratulate him. But you're wearing the jersey right. So Zilis Dwayne, congratulations to you, and also congratulations Liverpool.
Yeah. So good morning to you. Nobody in Ghana on this one will walk alone.
Well, and certainly, talking about not walking alone, we're not here alone. We're not walking alone. So I have Eduji Tamaklo, the Chief Executive for the MPA, and he's also a lawyer, Director of the Legal Directorate of the NDC as well. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Looking very smart.
Good morning to my co-panelists. You know, today, President John Dramani Mahama this week will be launching 3 important interventions.
I thought last week he launched the sanitary parts initiative.
So this week he's doing the Ejumara one, which will be targeting about 10,000 young business persons. He's doing the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, popularly called Mahama Cares.
Ghana Medical Trust Fund.
Yeah, Ghana Medical Trust Fund. And then the National Apprenticeship Program to ramp up training of young people. Because all the national security reports suggest that there are overwhelming number of young people without jobs. And that poses a national security threat to the country. And so these 2 interventions, the Jumara and the National Apprenticeship Program, targeted at young people to give them more jobs, more skills opportunity. And so for this week, President John Dramani Mahama, this is what he will be doing.
Anyway, Dr. Tutubuahin, good morning to you as well. He's a lecturer and then also a political commentator and an entrepreneur in his own right. Teaches actually the subject at the University of Education, Winneba. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
And we know we have decided to assemble these great people right here because Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and the leadership of the MPP, also inclusive, one of the leading politicians of the MPP in Ghana who contested him in the primaries, Kennedy Ohene Ejapong, and the rest of the leadership of the MPP. They've been on what they call a thank you tour. That thank you tour has also led to a number of comments, but also, well, a lot of suggestions as well, and admissions. And some of the admissions apparently are also from the Professor Aaron Michael Quay reports that investigated or did a fact-finding as to how and why they lost the election massively, 2024. It's getting a lot of traction. We're here to analyze that, some of the comments and admissions being made by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who we know at the time was a vice president, and then the presidential candidate of the party at the time. What does it tell us? What lessons can we take from this? And I have to say that for all the things that we have to today, get some insight, and then I'll start with the Digitamaklo, because it means that, well, if Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia again wins the presidential candidacy position of the MPP for 2028, they have to still contend with him. Great lessons he's learning, and it also means that he is a force to be reckoned with as well for our political landscape. This is what he's been saying.
National Cathedral, National Cathedral, after $58 million. Now,
our inability to build the National Cathedral after spending $58 million got the citizenry angry.
Our approach in Galamsey, that costly. You will see all the mining communities there. 3 days to the election, yet to petrol. And yes, sir. 3 days.
Fuel prices were increased 3 days prior to the elections, and this affected us. The drivers were angry.
Young, 3 days to the election, you go to petrol. Hey, you say winning and I say you say. Now, driver for a good Cathedral, National Cathedral, after $58 million. Now,
our inability to build the National Cathedral after spending $58 million got the citizenry angry.
Our approach in Galamsey, that costly. You will see all the mining communities there. 3 days to the election, yet to petrol. And yes, sir. 3 days.
Fuel prices were increased 3 days prior to the elections, and this affected us. The drivers were angry.
Young, 3 days to the election, you go to petrol. Hey, you say winning and I say you say. Now, driver for a good food.
Very interesting. And so far, seeing that Kenny Japan is on the front page of the Daily Graphic, it's also on the Ghanaian Times and occupying positions across. I don't know. And then Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is also on the Daily Guide. So it's, they're all forces to be reckoned with, so to speak. Eduji, what do you make of the comments of the Vice President and then also leading members of the MPP on the thank you talk?
I think this is not the first time that we're going to have a presidential candidate losing an election. It's the level of insincerity, the hypocrisy that you'd associate with the conversation by Vice President then, Mahmoud Bawumia. That makes it a bit confusing. First of all, in all this conversation, Bawumia creates the impression that he is not responsible. Right? He is not. It wasn't me. So you see in the Bible when God called Adam, Adam said, but God, the woman that you gave me, the woman that you gave me, for Adam, he didn't do anything. He didn't even open his mouth to taste the forbidden fruit.
What has Adam got to do with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and the comments?
You see, it is that conduct that Dr. Bawumia is demonstrating. And politically, it is dangerous even for the MPP.
Dangerous?
Yes. Let me tell you this. In the overall scheme of affairs, the Vice President is not, with the greatest respect, some small boy in government.
Exactly.
He is number 2. After the president comes the vice, maybe speaker and then chief justice. In the organogram, you see in a company you have organogram. It tells you.
That's your CEO, managing director,
Absolutely.
then you have the various line managers.
Yes. This one,
or deputy CEO,
he
for example.
is the vice president, not for 4 years. Vice president for how many years? 8 years. Now, first of all, his boss had marketed him to us. That city no aye hata hata. And so he is bringing him that with his expertise, you help the city get the needed strength. So it is like going to seek for a job and you telling the employer that I have these competencies. So if you give me the job with this experience, I'll be able to execute it this way. At the time when your boss was telling us this, the city was 4 cities, if I'm not.
It was 3 something.
Yes, you let's say 4. Now, when your boss brought you and said you had all these competencies, you took the city to 17 cities. You took our inflation to 54%. Never seen in the history. Not even during Achamponic times. You understand? That is how horrible our inflationary destiny. It was just during the PNDC that I got to something and then it came down. But for that, and you were the key person, the chair of the economic management team. After 8 years of disastrous scorecard, you don't blame yourself. And you see, if you listen to Dr. Bawumia, he's effectively blaming Anado.
How so?
For the MPP defeat.
For example, he says that fuel prices were increased. He didn't know about that. And who does that 3 days of some fuel's election?
I remember vividly, 2019, I also was by election. The last MPP campaign, Bawleshi School Park. Nanado spoke and said, look, Mede na Nyankopon de nyansa edi ama Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Na mede ne nyansa na mede yeden edi bu man no. I also was on by election 2019. The last rally at Bawleshi. I give you time and date and place. Now, Akufo-Addo has ruled for 8 years with your vision. Wonyansa, wonim die. Then after 8 years of disaster, what do? You abandon him. And that it is his refusal to reshuffle. That is why you lost the election. And listen, I think today, Bawumia needs to apologize to Andy Apiakubi. The MPP MP who led the 94 MPP MPs calling for the reshuffle of Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta.
How does this come in here?
No, Bawumia kept quiet. When Andy braved the storm and led the 94 MPP MPs calling for the removal of Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, Bawumia kept quiet. He was nowhere to be found in the conversation. There's no record of him whispering into the ears of Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo to say, Nana, these 94 MPs, their claim there is merit in it. Kindly listen to them. And let the record say that Akufo-Addo said, no, keep quiet. Let me do what I got to do. There's no such record. Then, having led MPP and dancing on platforms, Sisifia, what was Bawumia doing on the platforms?
He was having a campaign, and this one is a post-election fact-finding.
No, listen.
Perhaps it's quoted from the Professor Aaron Michael Quay report.
Look, I have always maintained, and even in my young age, I've seen elections. In 2008, I saw Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo's campaign. It was not a joke. But you see, they were dancing on the platforms. This particular election, what was Bawumia's core message to the average Ghanaian? For which reason Ghanaians ought to retain the MPP in power? Go and watch the videos. First, he would dance Sisifia. Then he brought, who made the choice of Napo for Bawumia?
I don't understand.
No, the choice of Napo, who made it for Bawumia?
He did it.
Exactly. So has he informed us the influence of the choice of Napo on the tickets? How come that he is blaming everything but not himself?
He should be blaming himself?
Yes. There's a certain level of sincerity. You are the leader of a pack of people. It's like going to war. As the leader, you went to war and lost, disaster. First, you have to come back and say, look, the strategies are adopted. The people are assembled to prosecute this campaign for me. We lost out on A, B, C, D, sincerity. But with the benefit of a second chance, I'll be able to do A, B, C, D to correct this one.
That's your expectation?
Yes. Now listen to him. He says 3 days to election, fuel prices were increased. Now, no cry, social media cry, no cry, you to petrol. Like, seriously? This is the vice president then.
It's possible.
No, listen. It's a different thing. Oh, yes, it is possible. It is really possible. It is really possible. Because that was the mantra. When Ghanaians were suffering, he said it was possible. When a journalist asked him, Dr. Bawumia, you have espoused very beautiful, almost esoteric economic policies and programs. What would you do to arrest the city now? He said, if I resolve the problem now, what would I do tomorrow? So Ghanaians said, what are we dealing with? Subsequently, his chief spokesperson, my brother Miracle, said he was playing and then brought the laughing emoji or something. So the whole campaign, demonstrable evidence of unseriousness. That is what brought the whole thing. But you see, it's curious. The MPP usually insult you. You. I watch it on your platform on social media. They insult your brother Johnny Hughes. In fact, they boycotted for some time this platform. And their reason is that you were telling them that there was arrogance of power. You were telling them that the cost of living was going up. The MPP were angry with you for saying this. So today that Bawumia is saying, one of the reasons why they went into opposition is arrogance of power. Would MPP members insult him now? Like they have been doing to you?
I don't understand. You mean because they insulted us?
Yes. Okay. These were the things you were saying. For which reason they branded you as NDC, attacked you, and say all kinds of things about you. I go and watch you and Johnny. I read the comments. Now, the person who led the charge now does a 360 degree to confirm the very things that you and Johnny were saying. So are MPP members now going to attack Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia? So you see the level of insincerity that we have been talking about. Let me say this.
Wrap up for me.
President John Dramani Mahama is focused on the core mandate Ghanaians have given him. So far, so good. Our friends in the MPP were telling us that 5.2 million young people are beneficiaries of free SHS. You recall? And Dr. Bawumia repeated this. We said no. There are only about 3 million people who have benefited from that. They won't listen. Now, the education minister then, what's the name? Educhu, now comes out to say it was a mistake. You were telling Ghanaians that John Mahama will come and abolish, what do we call it, or this free SHS. Yeah. Prof, you are a professor. Has free SHS been abolished? So now to the electorate, how do they see you? Would you go back with Bawumia as your candidate to now go and repeat that moribund lies to the people of this country that Mahama will cancel free SHS? I am happy that the MPP is preparing to bring Bawumia back.
No, they are undertaking a thank you talk.
Oh,
That's
no, please. I am happy with that posturing because what is he coming to tell the people again? That as chair of economic management team, they made a mistake in introducing e-levy. President Mahama has abolished e-levy. President Mahama has abolished betting tax. What are you going to say again? Okay. And thankfully, by the grace of the Almighty God, President Mahama is so focused. Look at the budget he introduced this year. The budget had brought so much stability. I was afraid that the city once again will go like a bull in the china shop. But look at the relative stability. We have been engaging the IMF officials. The Honorable Ato Forson has been in Washington. The report is looking fantastic. That is how you govern. no arrogance, respect for people,
Lawyer
and
Pierre
proceed on that tangent.
Lawyer Dankwa, if an election is lost, for which we had, for example, the Kwesi Botwe-led committee post-2016 also undertaking same for the NDC as well, and the same is also done for the MPP, where the vice president and the rest of the MPP leadership then goes on, even including Kennedy Japan, to admit that based on our own assessment and what you told us, the sentiment on the ground were e-levy, haircut, cathedral, and then arrogance of power, and then admissions that things were wrong, not being admitted at the time. That should not be a bad thing at all. What really should be the issue when it comes to having the post-assessment that is being done and the admissions that are being undertaken or reviewed today by Dr. Mahmoud Bami and the rest?
Yeah, so let me say hello to your lovely viewers again. Say good morning to my friend and brother, Professor Seto Sopo and Nico Ikote. They gave a great time in Houston over the past 2-3 weeks.
Where Houston?
Yeah, and they are watching us. You see, the issues His Excellency Dr. Bawumia has listed as being the reasons why they lost the elections are issues that were known to everybody in this country for a very long time. And it's surprising that they want to tell us that they did not see it, or it's not that they are admitting it. Also, I think my brother here was on point, and I stand on no force with him that about the clear lack of insincerity, the attempt to deceive all of us. Having been a former member of the MPP, and I still stand by the view that in terms of values, in terms of principles, I have not departed. They have departed. I think the reasons they are attempting to give is just trying to deal with the symptoms and not the core issue.
Please explain to me.
So it's like, you know, when you have, it's like, I'm not a medical doctor or person, but you know, when you have ailments, there are always symptoms that are just signs. Or so they are indicators of a core problem.
Why do you draw those conclusions?
So I'm coming. So my view is that the problems the MPP had, the failures. One, mention about, they mentioned the National Cathedral issue. During your campaign, you told us that, listen, you were going to build this cathedral with your own resources. You were telling us that you were using state funds. You talk about the energy sector recovery program. You set up a committee to look into why we are having energy issues. They came up with fantastic solutions. Nothing happened. Clear lack of commitment. Talk about the Galamsey issue. I'll put my presidency on the line. And then you get power. Your minister in charge of the environment comes out with a comprehensive program that is meant to deal with the issue, and you shove it for like close to what's called 2 years. Talk about the general economy. When you came to power, we were under an IMF program. Understand? Certain laws were passed. You put the laws behind, and then you go on a reckless fiscal mismanagement. You understand? For the first time, Bank of Ghana, what's it called? Recourse losses. You over-centralize power. Even school feeding was over-centralized. And I'm saying that all this, you are talking about the call for transformation. You come and then you spend like 5 billion on a useless program like NABCO and spend just about 400 million on 1D1F, which was really a transformational program. You talk about what's called the Planting for Food and Jobs. You waste our money on, and clearly, and also the arrogance of power. And I'm saying that all these things are symptoms of a core problem. The core problem being the MPP as a political party, a party that has a set ideals and values, a party that would usually sponsor candidates who share those ideals, those values, believing that they're going to give a governance which aligns to their shared values. You understand? Sit down and allow, for want of a better word, fake people who do not believe in the core values, in the values of the NPP, to take over the party, and then steer the party away from those core values.
What are the core values?
One, NPP is a party that believes in decentralization as against centralization. Understand? And let me go back to the very foundation of the party. Contrary to what they've been telling us, the NLM did not come out of the UGCC. The NLM actually came out of the CPP. Now, the reason why Victor Usu, R.R. Amponsa, and the Star Wars, the founding fathers of the NLM, this tradition, departed, left the CP, was because of their belief in decentralizing power as against centralizing power. And so you go into the NPP's constitution, and it's clear that we are a party that believes in decentralization. What kind of leadership did Nana Addo give us? Leadership that was very, very centralized as against decentralized. You go to their constitution again, one of their core values is a belief in small government as against huge government. Nana Addo came and he gave us a government, just the ministers alone, about over 125 million.
23.
But the biggest government.
No, it got to 126.
You understand? Wow. The biggest government we have ever seen. You understand? You talk about, you go into their constitution, and they say that this is a party that believes in protecting the environment. And then we sponsor a president who gives us a leadership that destroys our environment in a manner never ever seen in the history of this country. And then people just sat down and watched on. You understand? You talk about how the economy was run. So the NPP sat down, sponsored people who delivered a leadership, a governance system, a structure that was adverse in all forms and shapes from the core value of the NPP. You understand? And the party sat down and did not say anything. Because if you recall, around the 2000 when President Kufuor was in power, you had where the party was strong. Situation where the party could tell President Kufuor, take your government and let us take a party. Because for all intents and purposes, the party and the government are not one and the same. You sponsor somebody to become president, believing that the person is going to deliver a governance which aligns to your beliefs. But the party sat down and allowed charlatans to take over the party, even shifted them from their core liberal democratic values. The NPP as it stands now is a very Machiavellian party. The NPP as it stands now do not believe in the fundamental...
Is it because you left, so you're pained?
No, it's not pained. I'm telling you facts. They do not believe in liberal...
you left, so you are pained?
No, I'm not. I told you that I've not departed from those values. They have departed from those values. Yes, and that's why I left. Now, even when you come to the core values of liberal democracy, as one of the abiding principles being that those who govern must do so same with the consent of those they govern. Now you talk about the NPP right now, when they are doing their internal primaries. See act of violence. You see people sharing money like chichinga. You understand? That's buying the consent of those they want to govern. Yeah, understand. And so all these...
But both parties share money, so we have to be truthful.
So MPP is saying that they are a party that believe in liberal democracy. Understand? NDC believe in social, you are social democrats also. But MPP is saying that they are liberal democrats. And so let's go, what values make you a liberal democrat? Understand? Beyond the money sharing. So the acts of violence.
On TV.
Understand? People are beaten. What caused the I'll give you a showdown? You understand? For those of us who supported Alan Chemartin, were you not worried when, what's it called, polling agents in the Upper East was beaten to the point where his
okay, during the primaries.
You understand? And this has been going on for indeed, the NPP, as we knew and loved, was killed when that coup d'etat against Paul Afoko, against Sami Crab, was allowed to happen, and nobody, all of us, myself included, did not have the cojones to speak out against that. And so right now you have a party that's lost its way. You have a party, because, see, one of the core reasons why they chose Bawumia in their mind was to answer a certain northern issue. And I found that surprising, because you see, you are a political party, but when we give you power, you are supposed to use that power to advance the cause of the entire country. But NPP lost its way. When the president...
They didn't speak to their base.
No, not about their base. The point I'm trying to say is that we give you, so as a political party, we are not running a parliamentary system, it's a presidential system. You sponsor somebody to become president. But when that person becomes president, the person is supposed to preside over the entire country. So you have a president who had the balls to go and say that, listen, I did not bring development to you. I reneged on my obligation towards you because you did not vote for my MP. So for me, I think this attempt at doing a postmortem will be remiss unless they go to the core being a fundamental departure from the ideals and principles, because those ideals and principles dictate all the decisions you make. They can continue attempting to solve the symptoms, but unless and until, as a party, a political party, they attempt to deal with the core issue, which is their fundamental departure from their principles and values, then, like my brother is saying, as in they'll be sitting on the fences for a very, very long time. Dr.
Tutu Boahim, how more can you deal, or can't you deal with the cause, the root cause, than admitting? So, for example, Dr. Mahmoud Bamia, among the ones that we've already enumerated, talks about the NAPCO program, the afforestation, the school feeding, etc., for which perhaps a mismanagement of the beneficiaries seem to have alienated the party and those who had key positions in government at the time. How does that not mean that I'm admitting and then also I'm tackling the root causes? Because prior to this, we've had people like the former Subin Member of Parliament, Eugene Entry, speaking across various fora. We also have had Sarah Jossafo Abate asked not to talk about the very things that they're talking about today. And many others who had raised concerns, to the point that now, even on this thank you tour, Kennedy Ohinie Japan is saying that people like Paula Foucault and those who had led the party should be made to come back, including Alan Chermanting. How does that not speak to dealing with the root cause of the defeat?
Yeah, so, Roland, once again, let me say good morning to our viewers and all social media followers. I think that if I heard you correctly, it has to do with the issue of, readiness. Readiness, to put your house in order. Certainly, defeats are meant to tell you that there are certain things you didn't do right. And so go back to the drawing board. Identify all these wrongs and deal with them. Then the question of sincerity and insincerity, and your commitment and loyalty to the party, your own party, comes to play. Now, you see, Edwigi was right talking about issues of insincerity, of which lawyer also collaborated. But again, my view is that, to what extent, is the leadership of the party, including the former president, the former vice president, the national executives, ready to accept responsibilities?
You mean they should also be held responsible for the defeat, and that they should accept that they are grossly,
at least, yes,
a key part of that defeat?
In every organization, when an organization is going down, even the security man has a role to play. All right. Media general, TV3. If TV3 is going down, it is not just the responsibility of the MD. Everyone in this company is playing a role. All right. So, for me, it is about taking that kind of, diagnosis to know what actually went wrong. All right. Now, if you know what went wrong, the question is, who didn't play his or her role well? Is the person ready to accept responsibility or not? So that is why I am calling on all the leadership, to actually diagnose the issue and probably know where and who didn't do his or her job right. That is very important. But again, these accusations and counter-accusations, you know, is not a very good solution, you know, in solving party, you know, problems.
What's the solution?
Yes, I'll come to that. What it means is that more or less you are flaming divisions in the party. Obviously, when someone says that you have done this, another person will come up to say that I didn't do it, but the cause is coming from you. So the once relationship, that strong relationship that existed between A and B will be eroded. And once it is eroded, what it means is that it is going to create that level of enmity. All right? So supporters who believe that I support person A, they will rally behind the person and defend that cause. The one who also is being accused has supporters. So that's why I'm talking about division. So for me, these accusations and counter-accusations, it's needless. I've not seen the Professor Makokwe reports, but I've heard bits and pieces of it. All right. But then, if whatever I am hearing from Dr. Bawumia is anything to go by, I want to find out whether those things are actually captured in the Professor Makokwe's reports. All right. Because you realize that whatever Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is talking about is a response. More or less like a response.
Because this is what he says. He says, if we consider all the studies we have done so far as to why we lost.
Yes. So it's a response, okay, to probably the Okwe report and other, you know, reports that have been carried out. But I wouldn't also take it away from Lawyer Pierre Dankwa, all right, for the fact that all these things that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia spoke about are things that are known to Ghanaians, I mean, to the ordinary people on the streets. All right. Now, I was an executive of...
member of the MPP?
No. Individual Bondholders Association of Ghana. I was the vice president, right?
Individual Bondholders Association of
Ghana.
Wow.
Yes. Okay. I was the vice president.
You guys invested in bonds?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a lecturer. He needs to secure his future.
Exactly. You know, and the point is this. I mean, we even went to the Gamanche at a point in time to appeal through him. All right. All those calls didn't land anywhere. I mean, what we did was to take our future into our own hands and engage, you know, the former two finance ministers, the immediate one and the other one, Ken, you know, and Adam. Adam, yeah. You know, and in all our negotiations, our point was that, look, you are capable of paying us rather than allowing members, you know, people, well-meaning Ghanaians who have invested their money, you know, to die. And even on our platform, not less than 5 people died.
The platform that you manage?
Exactly.
Not less than. Did you tell the government at the time that people were dying?
We did.
Your friends were dying?
We did. For the pensioners, a lot of them died. All right. What does it mean? When your own people speak against a policy and you don't get it, even those who trust you, those who believe in you, will turn their backs. And that is for a fact. And when you consider the bracket of the bondholders, these are more or less rational voters who can swing votes depending on whether a policy is in their favor or not in their favor. So it wasn't something that government didn't even know. The then government didn't know that this thing was going to go against us. And Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia mentioned it rightly. 800,000 investors. Take a percentage of it, of the national voter. And you will see that even if a quarter or 3/4 decide that we will not vote against you, the kind of effect it will have on your fortunes. All right. Issues about this e-levy. I mean, obviously, MPP has responded indicating that it was just a policy, but it was not implemented. All right.
No, they never said that.
No, they've said that.
E-levy was not implemented.
That's what they have said.
No,
I mean,
it was collected.
Probably the distance. How do you call it?
No,
the betting
it was
tax.
the betting tax.
The betting tax.
That the former finance minister,
yes.
Aminata, said.
Yeah, the betting tax.
Until we show him the collection.
Now, listen, Papa Ru, the point is that what is the percentage of the youth, okay, in the Ghanaian voter register? And how many of them are employed and unemployed? How many of them are dependent on betting? I mean, this sports betting thing. And obviously, you get to know that it was a source of worry to them. All right. And the key debate that these youth were putting up was that when I am going to stake and I lose, you don't give me any percentage for losing. But when I win, you take a percentage. All right. For them, it is not about the rationality in taxing. It's about what they feel they are due. You are not creating jobs. We don't have jobs. And whatever we are getting, we are also taxing it. We don't understand it. Obviously, these are some of the things. The third one, let me be quick about it. The hardship that the ordinary Ghanaian hustling on the streets was going through. That at the point in time, even food became so expensive. All right. That the young lady struggling to sell pure water on the street couldn't fend for him or herself. And that became a source of worry. You understand? Now, it wasn't as if Ghanaians were not participating in governance. All right. It was the former president who said that you don't have to be, how do you call it, passengers, right? Now, the point is this. People were making suggestions. But what happened? Whenever a suggestion is made, Nana Akufo-Addo felt that he is the man in authority and wouldn't listen. So when a whole MPP, parliamentarians in parliament decided that let us come together and then tell the president that there is the need for a change.
In
at
personnel.
Least, sorry?
In personnel.
Yes, at least the finance minister must go. Nana Akufo-Addo just said no. No. And these were things that Ghanaians heard it and felt that you are overusing power. All right. Now, for me, the concentration of power at the presidency was so much. So much to the extent that even the date for the MPP to go for primaries, to elect flag bearer, was controlled.
Who told you that?
I read it.
You seem to have insider information.
I read it.
Who told you that? Dr. Tutu Bwang?
I mean, about Papa Ro.
I like that.
You see,
Papa Ro.
when you read, what happens? As a scholar, I don't just read.
You mean you read this? Because
Yes.
those at the time we were told they were speculations.
No, let me tell you this.
Rumor mongering.
Yes. Let me tell you this. When I read Kofi is going home, it is not just like a class 1 pupil cannot read it. But the meaning I will make out of Kofi is going home is deeper than what that class 1 pupil will do. All right. So I read a number of stories which indicated to me that the date for going on primaries to elect the flag bearer was being controlled.
And subsequently, we had Alan and the rest leaving.
My point is this. At a point in time, what happened was that February 2024, when the green light was given for that primaries to be conducted, what do you think the flag bearer who will be elected can do when, as Eduji will say, H.E. John Dramani Mahama has used about 7 years for campaigning? What do you think 10 months will do? All right. And so that authority, that control was so much. Not even to talk about the fact that, I mean, the call by Kennedy Japan to bring in people who have been offended and all that. And once again, he has mentioned
Paula Foucault.
The
attributions to those individuals,
yes,
including Alan Chermantin.
Yes, that is a good call. That is a good call.
But why does he think people who want to come back?
No, for him, he has made a call, isn't it? So probably we, those who are commenting, will probably believe that, yes, it is one of the causes. Because, you see, when you do politics, it's about networking. And when you look at the network effects of relationships and ties in politics, you would understand that when one member, a key member of your party leaves, you know, it creates a whole gap in there. All right. So for me, I feel that, look, the party leadership itself did not exercise any control.
I don't understand. You mean that you couldn't rein in the way the government was behaving or governing?
Exactly. They couldn't. And for me, these were probably some of the things that Dr. Bawumia has not been able to say. All right. But I wouldn't blame him. All right. For me, the information that probably he has pointed them out. Number two, the party must come together, listen to all concerns, not just what Dr. Bawumia is saying, what Adjo Asafo has said, what probably, if it is possible, and we'll go to Alan, all right. Lawyer is here.
But I'm saying that they have departed.
No, I know about what you are saying. But what my point is, coming up with solutions, proper solutions, and not to hide the Makokwe, you know, the MP, one of the Kwawu MPs, OPK.
David Opoku.
Yes.
Davis Opoku.
Yes. Has said
OPK.
that when they came to his constituency, the committee went to his constituency. Obviously, he was so busy in Parliament, but he had to go. But the report is in. You've not given him a copy. You are asking him...
Constitutional amendment contributions.
How?
How?
What information is he going to make those recommendations? All right. And so I feel that reports are meant to be studied. Reports are meant to be worked on, but not to be hidden and given to a very few people. All right. Does this even suggest that the report was made for very few people, or the report is meant to probably protect certain interests, or what? No, I don't think so.
All right.
You know, all those who are concerned in the party, the top hierarchy, to have access. If you are not giving it to the media, and you are even afraid to give to your own members, then it is an issue of mistrust. All right? Very thing that, you know, for me, I think that it will not help the MPP going forward. If you don't really trust your own key members who can come together, read, and then contribute to the solutions that you need.
Okay.
So for me, I think that the party must admit whatever had gone wrong, whoever is involved should admit. They should come together as quickly as possible and understand that whatever is happening to them, if they don't work on it as early as possible, 2028 is just at the corner.
I see. Now, Eduji, from the commentary, you'll find that it looks like the government and the campaign and the executives of the party did not know these things were happening. So, at the end of the day, what lessons could be taken from this? I mean, the things are being echoed around, but they didn't know that these things were real issues happening. What lessons could be taken?
You know the animal called mampam?
Alligator, or which one?
No, mampam.
Monitor lizard.
Monitor lizard.
Ah, okay.
that animal doesn't hear anything.
You mean it is stone deaf?
Wafa,
no, it's true.
Then what?
Oh, that's one see.
Yeah.
No. They live with their senses, just like the hippo.
So they can still sense.
Yeah,
so they can still sense.
They sense.
So I didn't know muntie, but sense
they can sense.
Eduji, what's the point with this mampam scenario?
Hey, let's be careful.
No, but there was a song crack on Pampam. Somebody,
you see, governance is about connecting with the people. That's what governance is about. See, when President Mahama took over and decided that, they will do an amendment of the LI on the Galamsey mining and forest.
He had said he would scrap it all. You and I have had this debate before.
Civil society group said, no, Mr. President, we don't want an amendment.
Take it away.
Take it away. He said, no problem. Parliament is on recess. Immediately they come, I'll get it for you. Listening. That is leadership. Look at Bamia's level of insincerity. The chair of economic management team, we were here when the president did one of his fellow Ghanaian program and said there shall not be any haircut. You remember?
Yeah.
Barely a month after that speech.
That'll be September also, or
yes.
October 2020.
Barely a month after that speech, obnoxious haircuts. Bamia says, it wasn't me. It is Akufo-Addo.
I don't understand. And so because of that, he's mampam.
Yes.
No. What I'm saying is that he's creating the impression that he was working with a man who will not listen. And it is a dangerous thing to do to your boss. What we expect at this critical moment is for Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia to say that we were in a terrible economic situation and we needed to take painful decisions. One, including the DDEP. With the benefit of hindsight, we could have done it differently or roll it out differently. Yeah. That is leadership. That is responsibility.
Yeah.
But the man had blamed every workman in MPP except himself.
You mean he should take the fall?
He should. And I'm saying that. Who chose Bawumia for him? Napo for Bawumia. Was it Akufo-Addo who imposed Matthew Poku Prempeh on him? I'm begging you, tell me. We saw the very day Bawumia took Napo to Otumfuo.
Yeah.
The next few hours, it was disaster. Now, Dr. Bawumia is telling us that in the Okwe report, listen, they have told us, and I've listened to my brother Richard Ahiagba and Co. say, the content of the Okwe report, they won't, disclose it to us. Fair enough. It's their politics. It's their report. Then now Bawumia is saying that when he read the Okwe report, it shows that he didn't lose because of religion. He didn't lose because of ethnicity. And even went further to say that he performed better than the Christian reverend in Asin. What he didn't tell us was that an MPP member went independent.
Yeah.
And so for that matter, the number of votes, Reverend, the liar, what's the name? The one who lied on national television. What's the name? Fojo. You understand?
What do you mean by the lie? Did you wrap up?
Okay. Now you are gagging me.
No. You cannot say he's a liar, please. No.
The man who on national television said.
No.
What did he say?
No. Let's be fair.
That he has intelligence.
Let's be fair.
Now,
please,
when
he's a member of parliament, he said he's performing his core oversight responsibility.
Not to lie. That oversight responsibility does not give you the power to lie.
Eduji, I disassociate
and you see,
myself.
Let me tell you.
Please,
a lie is not defamatory. If you're a liar, you're a liar. I didn't say he's a thief. It's a different thing.
Just say you're
But you see, no, please. But you see, a man who can lie about whole government.
Eduji retracted.
You don't accept facts on this program again.
I disassociate myself.
Okay,
and the media general.
But you see, let me wrap up on this note.
A minute, please.
I want to say
lessons.
That the lesson, and these lessons are for me. even in NDC.
Yeah.
That tomorrow I'll be facing the electorates. They'll ask me for my scorecard. So Kasube, why? You said you will bring a Jumaura. Have you done it? I say yes, we have. You said you will bring Ghana Medical Trust Fund. Yes, we have. You said you abolish e-levy. Yes, we have. You said you abolish betting tax. Yes, we have. You said you will not abolish free SHS. Have you? Oh, I said, look at it. It's even better. Now the children are eating eggs and they are jubilating and celebrating it. This is how. So whatever is happening in MPT today is a lesson to us in the NDC. It's a lesson that we are going to take on board. We'll listen to people when the need arise. We'll go along with their demands. And I've always maintained the ultimate power does not lie with us politicians.
Yeah.
It lies with the electorates. In fact, in Akan, they call them Asiahene. They are the king makers. If you become a king and you disrespect the Asiahene, one day they will remove the sandals from your feet.
Finish you.
And that will be called what? Destillment, which is permissible under Kashmir law. In this case, what the people will do is that, then they'll go to the polls. And when they go to the polls, they will give you 38%. Or what the actual percentage?
30.2.
38.
I saw Dennis writing, is it 42 or 41?
Oh, 42.
41.7.
41.7.
They want the 41.
But what's the official position of
That's
this?
the 41.7.
It's the 41.
They want the 41.
The EC is the official position.
They want the 41.
41.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
EC
okay. 41.
is the
41.7.
official
Okay.
position.
Okay. So you, let's
just
say,
wrap up.
yeah, so in wrapping up, I'm just saying that we are also guided so that we will not get to the point where a vice president, sitting vice president, goes into an election, loses by 1.7 or 1.8 million? 1.7 million, 41%, now comes out to blame every other person.
It's approximately 42%.
Approximately 42%.
41.8.
Comes out to blame every other person except himself. I think we should not get there again.
Okay.
We should all be sincere to the electorate, and the whole notion that MPP lost because 2 million of their supporters didn't come out to vote.
That's funny.
Is the most laughable. What shall I say? It's as though MPP members were not affected by the hardship. MPP members were not, and the perception of corruption. I think we all need to learn a lesson from this. That going forward, as politicians, we are only accountable to the electorate and the electorate only.
Okay. So the key lessons there, especially drawing in the fact that the position is the core voters who did not turn up, in analyzing that turnout, so to speak, are MPP members largely. And so perhaps they are speaking largely to MPP voters.
That's the most ridiculous.
Ridiculous?
In fact,
You're a lawyer, ridiculous?
Right, so if that's the so but that's ridiculous. Yeah, so and I don't think I want to say much about that. You see, at the end of the day,
Lessons.
politicians need to understand that, as the Constitution says, we are the sovereign, the people are the sovereign. We give them powers, but they'll use those powers to our benefit. You understand? That immediately they depart from that fundamental principle. Because the Levantine spoke about the social contract. He said in that social contract, all of us cede a bit of our powers to you, government. You understand? So you use the powers that we have seized for you, because we are all independent people. We seize some powers and give it to you. So you use those powers, not just to protect our lives, not just to protect our liberties, but also to use those powers to create the right environment in which all of our individual ambitions can best find the opportunity of being realized. And when we give those powers to Nana Akufo-Addo, who was sponsored by the MPP. And now, who told us that Sidinai hata. Sidinai hata. But he espoused the principle of the hatarization of the city and said that his vice president, His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, was going to be the solution to the hatarization. Indeed, Bawumia himself, when he made that his speech at what's called UPSA, I think in paragraph 67, but somewhere in the 60s, that Nana Addo gave him the job to find solutions to the problems that plagued our economy, and he failed. So for him to say that, so is he not aware that the CD left about 4 when he took over to 17.4?
Russia-Ukraine war.
And when he told us that you can do, when the CD was at 4, he told us that you can do all the propaganda you want. If the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. The 17 exposed him. Yeah, you understand? They lost, not because of all the things, they lost because they failed woefully in leadership. The MPP gave Ghanaians a number of checks. And they gave us, when they were selling Nana Addo to us, they gave us a check. That take this check to economic transformation. Take this check, vote for Nana Addo and Bawumia, and you get economic transformation. We took the check to the Bank of Economic Transformation, and it was bounced. Beyond it being bounced, they entered our pockets. Beyond it being bounced, they entered our accounts, our pockets, and took our monies from us. They gave us a check. I take this check to environmental protection. That I'm going to put my presidency on the line in the fight against Galamsey. We believe that story. We took the check and took it to the Bank of Environmental Protection. Right now you have people, cyanide, arsenic-laden waters. And what do they tell us? That we won't stop Galamsey today, we won't stop Galamsey tomorrow. Yeah, understand? They gave us the check of good governance. And under his watch, we took it. Brian Champa attempted to buy state property. And what did the president say? You understand? The bottom line is, and it's a lesson for all politicians to learn, that, like the Bible said, he who is humble will lead, and that you lead so that you serve. You understand? So when we give you power, it's not to lord the power over us, it's to serve. And that if you fail to realize that, we give you power so that you will lead, so that we will all be in the best position of fulfilling the national agenda, as against your parochial agenda. The NPP has become so parochial in nature. They use the powers we give them to advance their private individual agenda as against the government. And that's what we voted for. And we voted against them. Now, for me, there are no signs that they've learned their lesson. But they are in denial. And like Edoji rightly said, you have their presidential candidate who is ready to blame everybody but himself. You understand? In fact, indeed, in how they are even opposing, with this sad Fodjo issue. You understand? With this sad Fodjo issue. With the sad Muntu Mike, Pushy, all those things. With how they are even opposing.
So arrogant in power, arrogant in opposition.
You understand? It clearly how they handled the parliamentary service lady. It tells me that they have not changed their ways. That the familiar spirit that has imbibed that party. You understand? That familiar spirit.
The TV3 episode.
Yeah.
Imagine Justin Kondua right there and there saying, "Oh look, we apologize. My vice chair should not have pushed the TV3 mic. We apologize sincerely for it." That's how you demonstrate humility.
In fact, to end.
But to push a TV3 mic unprovoked, you think it's a fair thing?
And gladly, and even defend him.
Has the GJ condemned that?
You see, and even defend him.
Yeah, they have condemned it.
And Roland, to land, a party that says that they believe in the freedom of thought. Believe in freedom of thought.
My time is up.
You understand? For them to attempt to always suspend somebody for speaking their mind. You understand? This is a party that is, for intents and purposes, is undemocratic. And as said, and what you react to is actually a threat
And you mean that development in freedom is no longer development in freedom?
Now, even this issue, I'm coming with last one. This CJ issue, the way they want to even demonstrate.
Yeah, because we want to discuss.
I'm coming. They want to demonstrate.
We may go
I'm coming.
there.
I'm just saying, but they want to demonstrate against the president for only complying with the constitution. And clearly, this is a party that has reaffirmed my belief that they are a threat to the rule of law. You understand? And so, if they do not change their ways,
rule of law also enjoins you to demonstrate.
If they do not, I'm saying that when you are demonstrating against a president for only complying with the constitution, that means that, you understand? So to end, they must not deal with the symptoms. They must deal with the core issues and find a way of exercising the familiar spirit. The familiar spirit that's taken over their party. Unless they do that, then I don't know. I don't know. So
the lesson shortly. Just do that in 5 minutes, I beg. Okay, so that I can do the CJ thing before I leave.
The key lessons for me, number one, the statistics, right? Obviously, coming from key regions and key constituencies, of the MPP. Obviously, we have about 15 key constituencies in Ghana that determine elections. And then we have about 4 regions that determine elections in Ghana. All right. Now, these are constituencies that the MPP couldn't perform. And a compilation of the data shows certain things. And for me, it was strictly anger. So I think that a region like Ashanti region, Greater Accra region, if the thank you tour is getting in there, it is an issue of an apology and showing a sense of remorse to the people to calm down nerves and probably, if possible, appeal to the conscience of voters in there. Number 2, not the MPP and for that matter the NDC, the 2 major political parties, should note that national voters are the real king makers, not delegates. So you cannot be paying huge sums of money and giving freebies to delegates when the national voter sits unconcerned and not receiving anything. Now they've started demanding. National voters have started demanding. And that would be the worst everything that will happen to any of these 2 major political parties.
Agreed.
All right. And it is very important that, they should expand, this kind of, what do they call it? The electoral college. They should expand it. I know the MPP has that policy. The NDC equally has that policy. So they should be able to effect it. All right. Rather than giving decisions to very few people we refer to as delegates. The third one, which is the last, is that electoral performance, is an amalgamation of a myriad of factors and not just limited to infrastructural developments.
Or social policy.
And social policies. Okay. Now, certain intangible aspects of it, which has to do with humility,
your behavior,
that has to do with honesty, that has to do with nationalism, have become key determinants for electoral performance in Ghana. And so, if you think that you have constructed a 6-way, road from Accra to Bolgatanga, it will not. I can actually tell you that it will not bring any electoral fortune to you. Okay, you can create factories, create jobs, but if you disrespect the people, if you don't show humility in government, and you show arrogance, and you don't listen to people, your own people who elected you, certainly it is not about what you have done, but it is about the attitude and behavior you are putting up.
All right. I have a couple of comments on this very subject. Then we'll move to the GBA and the decision they made at their media conference on the suspension of the Chief Justice. This one is coming from Nelson Akotia. Good morning to you. It says, I think they should change the name to Explanation Tour instead of a Thank You Tour. The center is still shaking. And Kwame Osei J says, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia is still the leader who needs to be chosen as presidential candidate of the MPP going into the 2028 election. I've seen all the machinations by the others, including Kennedy Ejapong on the tour, but the MPP is still united, and DMB 2028, it is possible. Now, Atukwe says, is the MPP having a thank you tour or complaining tour? The majority of Ghanaians knew all that they were saying, and we expected them to say something different than repeating the same, and then also misconceptions. And Nudik, thank you for the comment as well. Now, subsequently, I have this one coming from Mr. Tebi. Good morning. Just not to mention your first name. I feel compelled to bring this to a broader public attention. When Kwabena Ejapong was undermined internally by operatives within his own MPP fraternity, it was clear to many of us that he was seriously contemplating an independent political trajectory. What is less widely known, however, is the significant toll this internal sabotage took on him, not just politically but psychologically, likely impacting his mental well-being over time. And then he says, I had the privilege of being embedded within a core strategic team he assembled to blueprint his potential candidacy. And then subsequently, you say the MPP's internal machinations have inflicted wounds far beyond political marginalization. They have likely exacerbated mental health strains among those they ostracized. Well, I know that there's a call for them to come back, so we'll see how that goes. Let me read this one. Helga Bwedi, good morning to you. Says, hindsight is really 20/20, isn't it? The blame game isn't helping the MPP. It's that simple. Now, Ebo Bachman, good morning to you, says, I've never seen a politician as fake, opportunistic and ungrateful as Dr. Bawumia. He is now blaming everybody and everything on Nana Akufo-Addo, the very man who sacrificed Alan, a founding member, for him, who only joined the party in 2008, as if he had no part in the decisions of the government. This is shocking, you conclude with an exclamation. And Eduji, the GBA, they say at their mid-year conference, they've made a decision. They say they've passed a resolution calling on the president to revoke the suspension of the Chief Justice. Your 2 cents on this, quickly. You're also a lawyer.
I called that...
did you attend the meeting? You're a GBA?
No, it was... but I followed everything.
Okay.
I called that resolution the Diana Asunaba resolution. You see, Madame Diana Asunaba Dapa was the Deputy Attorney General under the second term of President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo. So on Saturday at the mini bar conference, as I'll call it, what she basically came to do is to say that the statement they signed by the president and the secretary, the earlier statement, lacked the necessary bite, and therefore was putting pressure on the GBA president, Mrs. Ifua Gatti. So in the course of, the back and forth, in fact, she actually went on the stage, took the microphone from someone, because the person had given an indication that, look, the Ghana Bar Association is just an association of lawyers, nothing more, nothing else. It's a club, like men's club.
And you have to be in good standing.
No,
practice.
Listen, your church, you have men's fellowship. This is a fellowship of lawyers, nothing more, nothing else. So someone suggested at the meeting that as lawyers, if we believe that the president had done something unconstitutional, the way forward is to approach the courts, because when President Mahama decided to appoint his Lordship Justice Yahapao and Puaman to the Supreme Court, the Ghana Bar Association, led by President Nene Amegache, dissatisfied with that, went to the court to challenge the president's appointment. Thankfully, the Supreme Court said the suit brought by the GBA was without merit and dismiss it entirety. And that is what allowed the Puaman and this thing. In fact, at a point, they actually attempted, I think Afeni Markin as lawyer for Richard Sky, even attempted bringing the contempt processes against President Mahama, as we speak. So this so-called resolution is of no use. In fact, I wouldn't describe it as useless. No, I wouldn't do that. But it's of no use. It's of no moment. You understand? It has nothing to do as far as President Mahama is concerned. What has President Mahama done? Fidelity to the Constitution. And look, the consistency with which President Mahama has demonstrated some of these things is amazing. First, Loretta Vivian Lamptey, the strike boss, appointed by an NDC president. A petition came through Richard Nyama and Anodom Pre. President Mahama received it, went through, forwarded it to the then CJ, Georgina Wood. Her ladyship, the CJ, went through the process, set up a 5-member committee. His Lordship Justice Eni Yeboah, Justice Benin, Mariam Mausu, and 2 other civilians. They went through it. Whilst the petition was pending, President Mahama suspended Madame Vivian Loretta Lamptey. So, in terms of President Mahama's conduct in holding on to the constitutional process, is without blame. In the case of her ladyship, the Chief Justice, now suspended, right? What has been the conduct of President Mahama? The receipt of the petition. And these are not known NDC people who brought the petition. These are Ghanaian, unlike Richard Nyama, known MPP person. President Mahama, upon receipt, the Chief Justice asked that give me the opportunity to respond to the petition before a prima facie is determined. Gracious. President Mahama said, yes, take a copy of the petition. However, I would mark it so that the constitutional requirement under Article 1466 on the process being in camera and the details not being published, I want to hold on to that. So I will mark it. Look at the conduct of President Mahama so far. And if you read the GBA so-called resolution, the Asunaba Dapad resolution, nowhere does it say President Mahama had infringed on any express provision of the 1992 Constitution. However, what they say, regrettably, is that President Mahama should suspend or revoke the suspension. By what authority? You want President Mahama to do what the Constitution doesn't say, so that the same Ghana Bar Association will now say that you have disobeyed the Constitution contrary to the presidential oath you have taken. And for that matter, we are bringing impeachment proceedings or whatever against President Mahama. I want to conclude. Maybe the GBA has not adverted its mind to this important decision of the Supreme Court of Ghana. His Lordship Justice Peter Paul Derry and the Attorney General. And what the Supreme Court said relative to such, petitions, and whether or not the petition, once it is set in motion, whether it can actually be truncated. Because what happened is that His Lordship Justice Peter Derry, when Anas had done the premiering, you recall, then went to the Supreme Court to raise an issue that premiering sins against the constitutional imperative that says that the process should be done in camera. Listen to the Supreme Court, and I'll conclude on this. Next, we believe the attempt made by the plaintiff herein to abort the process because of the violation of Clause 8 of Article 146 by the public disclosure of the petition and its content brings it in direct conflict with the very constitutional provisions which say that the process cannot be truncated except in 2 situations mentioned already. The petition that commences the impeachment proceeding derives its validity from the Constitution, and thus, unless a clear intention is expressed, that validity cannot be taken away, because there is a procedural infringement. You understand? The duty imposed on the Chief Justice, now Council of State, to make a prima facie determination is derived from the validity of the Constitution. And that duty, by the terms of the Constitution, prevails unto the Chief Justice, here the Council of State had performed it. Therefore, there is nothing in the Constitution that prevents the Council of State from performing that constitutional imposed duty once the President had referred the petition to them. Any attempt to stop that process will be subverting the Constitution, and it goes to confirm. Now, if subverting the Constitution. So what the likes of Asuna Dapa, having foisted her view, and in fact, at the point, she was almost fighting the GBA president. Yes.
But this is at the conference, which is an official...
No. But the point I'm making is that to the extent that the president, in her wisdom, initially felt that, okay, this is the position of the law, and even urged that the president and other stakeholders must hold fidelity to the law. If you read the first statement by the GBA, they never condemned President Mahama. Only for Asunaba to lead that team to the conference to say, no, the statement from the Ghana Bar Association lacks bite, and so they should come out with this resolution. I want to plead with her. Possibly, she's going through a certain level of selective amnesia, with respect, because it was under the person she served as Deputy Attorney General, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, that Madame Charlotte Osei was removed from office. So what is so different? And the NPP condescending attitude towards President Mahama is one of the reasons why they got the 38 or 42%. Because the lack of respect for President Mahama is so... look, sometimes you need to hold yourself. What is it that President Mahama has done that Akufo-Addo didn't do by following the law? Unless, of course, the likes of Asunaba Dapa and co. believe that the conduct of President Nana Addo then was bad. If it's bad, they should first condemn Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And like the Bible says, you have what in your eyes, and you want to remove what in somebody's eyes.
The resolution then subsequently seemed to have created the import that the GBA, based on the decision that has been made at the media conference, want a CI, a constitutional instrument, to guide the process that will remove the Chief Justice, so to speak, so that determinations like the discretionary power that is undertaken by the president, I mean, not only this president, that future we could expect of any president for that matter, would then be guided by a certain conduct.
I think Article
so
296 of the Constitution, 296 speaks about...
because the argument before this very meeting was that if you look at the power to suspend, that is determined or that enjoins the president to undertake that decision in Article 146(10), they say that ideally, if we had a constitutional instrument, then he could be guided, so to speak.
Who will be guided?
A president.
So in Article 146, the president is using discretionary powers. I think throughout the process, there are 3 instances where the president uses his discretion. All the rest, he is mandated. So when it comes to whether or not to suspend the CJ, it is his discretion.
Yes.
You know, he also has the power to revoke the said suspension. That one too is his discretion. And then he also has a discretion in case, if it were any other superior court judge, also it is his discretion. I think the argument is that Article 296, I think 3 says that apart from the judiciary, where you are using what's called, I think Article 296 over.
No, read it well, because this issue came up in Radford, France.
I'm coming. So
read it well.
So please read the two.
You read the said provision. It says when the person.
That's 2.
Article 296C. And that was what was litigated.
Okay, continue.
It was litigated in the Supreme Court in the Radford, France, and the Attorney General decision.
At the end of the day, you see, my view is that if there's something that is on trial here, it's not the CJ, it's not the president, it's the clear lack of respect for principle. Because all these people shouting their voices hoarse, against, in my view, the president's just following what's called the constitutional mandate. You understand? Where were their voices when Nanado was doing the same during was called Charlotte Osser's time? Was that time he said he was just a conveyance belt. He says John Dramani Mahama is also a conveyance belt.
Well, they say that when it comes to the Chief Justice particularly.
No. It's
because even though 296 enjoins, it says where in this constitution, etc., the discretionary power is vested in any person or authority. That power shall be deemed to imply a duty to be fair and candid. Now, subsequently, it said where the person or authority is not a judge or any other judicial officer, there shall be published by constitutional instrument, a statutory instrument, regulations that are not inconsistent with the provisions of this constitution. And so they're advocating that we need
and that's what I'm saying.
No, but does it render the decision invalid?
No. We're not at that point. That's the advocacy that the GBA is making. And that's the position of the GBA.
No, it's because that is the position the MPP through lawyer Bafo canvas. So they went to the GBA meeting. Yes. So they went to the GBA meeting to voice this view on the Ghana Bar Association.
Nonetheless, at the end of the meeting, this is the position of the GBA.
Yeah, I'm saying that if there's one thing that I find worrying, it's the lack of principle. So, in 2018, their voices were lost. Is that what they are telling us? Yeah. For me, that's the worry. Clearly, for me, there are clear call for reforms in how. In fact, I even have issues with the in-camera thing, because you see.
You think the removal of the Chief Justice should clearly
of any head of the arm, because you see our constitution was premised under what's it called the principle of accountability. So it's not so Article 69 of our constitution 69 provides for how the president himself can be removed. Article 97, we all spoke so much about Article 97 and Article now and all of these. You realize that there's not, it should be held in camera. I'm saying that for these decisions, these acts to be legitimate, to be accepted by us, not to give the impression that indeed is an attack on an independent arm of government. Because really, an act which seeks to impeach a CJ does not, in my view, constitute or mean that the independence of the judiciary is being attacked. You understand? Because it's just a reflection of the principles which underpins our constitution. And the question is, for these acts to have legitimacy, to be accepted, not to be misconstrued, construed to mean that they are being attacked, I think that it should not be held in camera. It should be open. That's my personal view. So for me, I think that you cannot question the legality of the acts that the president is undertaking, as the constitution stands now. If there's anything at all you can ask for is reforms.
And that's what they are doing.
Yes,
no,
yes.
Don't
argument is that it doesn't negate the decision that has been taken.
And that cannot be a basis for revocation of the suspension.
Exactly.
So I understand that. This is the GBA's position.
All you can ask
subsequent to the statement they
I am saying that this position does not represent the entirety of the Ghana Bar Association. This is an Asunaba Dapa so-called resolution, thinking that she can reverse a decision taken by President John Dramani Mahama. And I think that we all need to be very careful.
So at the end of the meeting,
and in fact, at the meeting, one of the lawyers suggested that GBA, if you think that what the president has done is unconstitutional, the courts are open. Let's go and litigate so that it will serve as a good instead of passing resolutions.
All right.
And they nearly, in fact,
which of no effect. You understand?
Right.
So for me,
because I've asked you to, you didn't go to the conference, right? You could have also. Advocated.
We'll issue our own contrary statement. Now that we also call for a mini bar.
Please don't go for me.
For me, like I'm saying, so first of all, I'm worried at the clear lack of principle being exhibited. I'm very worried. That's because if A in 2018 should be A in 2025. If really your focus is to fight for principle, to fight for the consolidation of the principle of the rule of law, then you should not flip-flop because in terms of principle, I don't see any difference between what is happening to the CJ to what happened to Charlotte Osei. In terms of principle. Yeah, understand. And two, for me, I think it's just this represents to us an opportunity to call for proper reforms. I'm saying one of the reforms are, one, the in-camera thing. Because there's so much opaque.
No, I disagree with you.
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
In the wisdom of the framers, let's maintain the in-camera city. The confidentiality is good.
I beg you, let me share my view. Yes, my view is that the opacity helps nobody. Yeah.
Let's maintain the confidentiality.
No, my view is that, and let me reiterate my view. The opacity was something as serious as the impeachment of the CJ, or it could be the president. It cannot be opaque, especially when they are using our powers. It cannot be opaque.
All right.
Otherwise, you struggle to make it legitimate. You understand? So I feel that in the spirit of the reset, as in the people who are
the review commission.
All right. Please.
They should look into.
Let's refer to Dr. Tutubuahin, please, just to you as well.
So, Roland, I feel.
Can you do that in 2 minutes?
Yes, I'll do that. I feel that the whole study of Article 146, I'm not a lawyer though, but my understanding of Article 146 actually requires a total review. And yes, I believe so. And I say this because, Lawyer Pierre Danko has said that it gives the president that mandate to exercise discretionary powers, isn't it?
Yeah.
And which is based on legitimacy, isn't it? Okay. Now, that legitimacy is defined in terms of fairness and non-bias, all right? Meaning that the president should be fair in implementing Article 146. And again, must not show any bias, to any individual or something, all right? But for me, again, when you look at it carefully, this is the way I see it. It is too political. Number two, it brings that level of interference that does not allow for smooth running of the independence of state institutions, and for that matter, the judiciary and any other, public institution. Again, if we are to continue in this, I feel strongly that what wasn't right yesterday is not right today. And we cannot say that the actions and inactions of Nana Akufo-Addo Dankwa.
He's a lawyer.
Yes, I know.
He's a lawyer.
I know. But the same lawyers will pick the same law to defend one case, all right, and another will use it to prosecute another case.
Was Akufo-Addo wrong there?
All right. Oh no, for me, that is why I'm saying that what was not right yesterday cannot be right today.
Just in a minute.
Yes. So for me,
are you holding this position because it is now a decision that has to be made, or is being made, on the removal of the Chief Justice?
Yes. So
now,
you see, for me, as I said earlier, I'm not a lawyer, and I've not had any opportunity.
Let's not cloak ourselves with "I'm not a lawyer." You're making a position.
You're a governance person.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm asking you a categorical question. Yeah. Is it because various individuals and bodies, including the GBA, etc., are holding these positions because it is now the turn for the Chief Justice to be removed from office? And now we've gotten to a point where a suspension order has been given by the president.
No, but
for which the Constitution mandates.
This is not the first time that a Chief Justice has been.
No, I understand in our history,
exactly.
But I'm saying we're talking about the Republican.
So, yes, that's why I'm saying that Article 146 gives the president, that kind of powers, to do so. And I quoted from what lawyer said, that it is discretionary powers that he's exercising.
When did you realize this?
In fact, as far as I'm concerned, this is about the second time, since this issue came, that I am commenting on this particular thing. All right. And I feel that given any chance, all right, the president, should be able to, as it were, approach this exercise, even though he has that powers, he should approach it in a sense that it wouldn't allow for future, cases where, whoever he brings, let's assume he succeeds and he brings another person, whoever he brings, in case that there's a loss of power, all right, then the party that comes to power is also going to rely on Article 416 to get rid of the Chief Justice.
I think that let's not the impression be created that somebody was targeted. Look,
hold on.
When CJ's nomination
it's not the first time we'll be commenting on this. Let me just read a couple of messages.
And it got to Parliament. The NDC NPP.
It has been a good time right here on the show. Please, their mics should be off. Put their mics off. Edu Jitamaklo, thank you for coming. Lawyer Apia Dankwa, thank you as well. Dr. Tutubuahin, thank you as well. For all those who have joined us, we have some interesting comments. Good morning to you, Chairman Riches Kokoti. And for all those who have the comments running, let me just try to get onto our social media platform and then get a couple of the comments. So, well, nobody is above the law, and that's Mariam Adams' comment. He said, if any public official commits a crime or undertakes an act or omission, and that person can be sacked, and the Constitution allows it, why not? Now, Neodate Mills also says that what is good for the goose is also good for the gander. When did people make up their minds that everything was wrong in relation to decisions that were taken for which all and sundry were in praise of? Prince Nana Yao Yok says, truth be told, people voted against the MPP because they were unfair and just didn't listen to people when it came to the ordinary Ghanaian, as well as other comments that we have. Now, Neodic says the public confidence in the judicial system is very poor. Look at the flip-flopping by way of the positions that have been exhibited on this very subject matter, positions that have shifted from yesterday to new ones today. Well, thank you, gentlemen. But we also have to tell you that every room holds a memory, and Broom makes those memories last a lifetime. Now, from the metal frameless UHD smart television with Alexa built-in voice control and an immersive Dolby audio to the Broom inverter smart Wi-Fi AC that saves up to some 30% on prepaid power, runs silently, and also lasts longer with its anti-rust golden fin. Also, the Broom front-load washing machine comes with a digital dual display and also consumes up to just 40% less electricity with smart jets for the toughest stains. The Broom inverter chest freezer also offers an electronic touch control panel with fast freezing, low energy consumption and sterilization and deodorization. Now, Broom's premium 4-door glass refrigerator has a deep freezing at -36 degrees, an inverter total no frost, and then also a modern touchscreen display. Broom has everything your family needs: reliable, energy efficient, and designed for the modern lifestyle. Broom is available nationwide. You can call them 0800 100 247, or you can also visit their website, broom.com. Broom leaves you with a smile. We're taking a break. We'll be right back with sports.
Dawudu's birthday is...
Dawudu, legal practitioner, happy birthday to you.
Every day, people have money emergencies.